In this video, we're going to look at the powerful admin features of 3iVerify. In the admin section, we can configure almost anything to do with the system. This is where we would add our multiple sites, which we call clients in the system. This means that if you're a company with multiple sites, you can add as many sites as you like in here. Or if you're a consultant using the system, you can use the system to manage all of your clients in this part of the system. Let's go back. And now we'll look at users and user privileges. So when we add users into the system, we can select the username. And here you can see the default site for that user, along with all of their details and which sites they can see information for. We can also define the management roles for that particular user and their sign-off privileges and whether they can customize the system or not. The supplier management and raw material approval management, and in fact any form we want to develop in the system, can be designed in the form section. And here you can see for each individual site, we can design any kind of questionnaire. And this is an example of the raw material questionnaire. And you can see all of the different sections which are in this particular questionnaire. So just picking one of those as an example, here you can see how we can easily drag and drop to build the individual questionnaire section. And I show lists of questions with various options, etc. And underneath here, we can add on our own supplier assessment criteria, which we will use to approve the supplier or not. We can also import data straight into the system. It's a very straightforward process. We select the table that we want to import data into. So for example, you can see raw materials, suppliers, assurance schemes, question tables, etc. for auditing and form building, and so on. In fact, we can add any kind of table into this list. The process is very simple. We select the table. We then can download a template for that table. We then simply open up that template. And once the template is open, we have all of the columns for data that we want to put into the system. Some of the columns are ID columns, and in which case we can look in the relevant tab below to get the ID of the data that we want to put into that column. So the process is very simple. We save it and then upload it back into the system. Like choose the file, upload the data template, select all, and then click Import Selected. We can also configure all of the email templates that are used in the system to request information from suppliers and to alert users about things they need to do as well. Simply edit the relevant template you want or create a new one, and we can insert placeholders into the email for key elements of data that we want to send in the email. In the document settings area, this is where we are going to set things like document approval processes and document types. Here in document approvals, for example, we can see how to set up an approval process for a given site and document type, and how to select one or more stage 1 approvers that we want to have doing stage 1 approvals before it goes to a final approver. Notice that there is an email checkbox for sending email notifications to approvers. For question data, we click on questions, and these questions will be used in the supplier and raw material approvals, and you can see and search for information simply by selecting the question table you wish to work with. We then have the general settings section, which is various features on and off and sets things like logos which are used in the system. And we have task settings for use with the tasks in general, which are used in the action module and elsewhere. So things like task types and priorities can be defined here. In the action module, we have areas where we can define escalation paths, action types, action sources, volatility and confidence, which are both used in risk assessments, action status, action affected. And in the risk perspective area, we can define any kind of risk matrix. So here, for example, is a food safety matrix with the left label of probability and the top label of severity, and then numeric scoring and risk bandings already set up. The workflow area is currently under development, and this is designed to implement key workflow stages and decisions within the actions module. Finally, the finished product specifications area is where we set up all of the lookup lists and configuration data for finished product specifications, which we can also build forms for within the system. So here you can see things like raw material frequencies, standards, quantities, etc. As you can see, there is a lot of flexibility within 3iVerify, and it's a very powerful and flexible system. This concludes the demonstration of the admin section.